Well, hello, welcome to week 4 of Intro to Christian Ethics. And this is another one that I am very excited about, not only because we're about halfway through, which isn't too exciting to me, but because this week we're going to be talking about ethical codes of covenant or codes of ethics. These are denominational codes generally that really come back and some would say dictate, but well, maybe it is dictate the ways that we ministers are supposed to act and to live. Now, before we get much further on to that, I will say that I have been known to put ministers on a pedestal. I know that there's a lot of problems with doing that. I really don't expect perfectionism in any stretch of the imagination. I myself am no longer a perfectionist. Perfection is something theological to strive for, but perfection is not being perfect as we translate it in the first world countries, at least not in this United States first world part of the world. Anyways, I put us on a pedestal because I have expectations of us. I expect that we're going to work with integrity. I expect that we will work with excellence. I expect that we will do the best that we can do. I expect that we are going to serve God and walk in God's will and ways to the best of our abilities as humans. Now, back here to talking about these codes of ethics. We talked last week about expected behaviors. Expected behaviors really are for congregations and for their leadership. But when it comes to codes of ethics, it really comes back to us. Suppose I'm not surprised by the number of ministers who really don't have a sense of the code of ethics. When I was ordained, my regional minister there in Georgia handed me part of my ordination service in front of everybody, handed me the Christian Church Disciples of Christ ministerial code of ethics and said, read this, sign it, and hang it on your wall. And you know, to this day, it hangs on the wall next to my certificate of ordination. 19 years, every office I've had, my ministerial code of ethics has sat there on the wall, has been hanged there on the wall next to that certificate of ordination. It's there where I am not going to miss seeing it. I put things in front of it. Right now, I have a fountain and I have my iPod speakers right there underneath it, right next to it, so I will not miss it. Every day I'm in my office, I see that code of ethics. I expect us to, again, to the best of our ability, to adhere to that. And again, maybe it doesn't surprise me when I teach about codes of ethics, when we review these in clusters of coaching with ministers or one-on-one coaching with ministers, the number of them who don't remember them, have never heard of them, who, yeah, somewhere along the line, maybe they'd heard of them. And when it comes time to, particularly in the parts about leaving a congregation, how we leave a congregation, what's expected of us after we leave a congregation, how we treat our colleagues, whether we're in a congregation or not, all of that is spelled out. And when we have to bring that up, when we have to talk about it, we push back. We will even rail about that. We will speak about how unfair it is. We will get people in our congregations to call our judicatory denominational ministers to tell us how unfair and not right they are. One of the pieces, the responsibilities I've had over the last 6 years is to go and help ministers retire, to be part of their retirement services or sometimes their last service in a congregation. And I talk about our ministerial code of ethics, the need for covenants of closures, and how the minister will not be able to be part of the congregation, will not be able to do any ministry for the congregation for at least 1 year after the called minister comes, not during the interim, but after the called minister is called. And that's only at the invitation of the minister or after the retired or once was pastor comes to me or their regional minister or area minister to ask permission to be there, and allows this denominational minister to be part of the conversation so that the senior minister is not put on the spot. I can't give you the percentages right now, but maybe you can guess the high percentage of ministers who do not follow through on that guideline, even though it is what's best for the congregation and for themselves, even what's best for them. So this week we're looking at codes of ethics. Those of you that are in Christian Church Disciples of Christ, hopefully, if you're pastoring, you'll recognize ours as they are posted. You'll see that there are a lot of other codes of ethics for those of you that aren't in the Christian Church Disciples of Christ. Not every denomination has a code of ethics. Either that or I have not been able to find them. So I would suggest that you talk to your denominational minister or try to find them on your denomination's website. I really have tried to find them on your websites, but in some cases I haven't been able to. So look at those, and just because you're a UCC, that shouldn't keep you from checking out the Assemblies of Gods or a United Methodist. Check out the different ones. Look at all of them, because your next assignment that's due next week is going to be writing your own code of ethics. Now, does that mean that you can take from your denomination? Sure it does. But again, speaking for us disciples, which is the one I know the best, ours is a multi-page. It is a multi-sectioned code, and there's no way we can keep all of that in front of us. There's no way, well, I won't say it that way. Let's just say that there are more parts than we're probably aware, and it's hard to live all these out. You know, it's like there were the 10 Commandments. We couldn't follow the 10 Commandments, and a generation later there were hundreds of laws on the books there in that Old Testament that we read about. So I'm not expecting everybody to know everyone all the time. I sure don't. I really don't. I have to go back to check on them on a regular basis. I have to reread them. I do my own self-checks. Am I following them? Where am I short? Where do I need to shore up a little bit? I have covenant partners that I get to work with that call me on my stuff, if you will, that say, hey, Chris, that's a little out of whack, or what about that? So, we're going to talk about that in another week or two as well. But for now, I want you to look at those code of ethics, and I want you to think about who you are. What's missing in your denomination's code of ethics? What's missing in code of ethics in general? What do you think is important? I know what the denominations think. This is about you. I want you to write your own code of ethics. Use those ones that are up there as your guideline, as your basis, but I want to see your code of ethics, what you're going to hold to, what you aspire to hold to, what your integrity says that you will hold to. I look forward to seeing you next week. Enjoy the readings. Enjoy the questions. They're kind of those personal questions again, and I really want to see you wrestle with them. I appreciate the ways you've been wrestling, and I'll see you next week. Have a great week. Bye-bye.